The Dave's Gone By Facebook Yo program of the stream. You're talking to Dave. Who's this?
Okay, well, this is Mary in Chicago, trying again.
Okay, Mary, finally we got you on. I'm sorry that we had another call. We had Brian Gary that we were talking to, so we lost you while trying to keep him, and we lost him while trying to keep you. But now you're here, and how are you?
Keeping busy, Chicago, there's all kinds of stuff happening. If you come to Chicago next year, you are going to see a whole bunch of new theaters.
Oh.
Big real estate boom. There is a big migration where theaters are. It started out as storefronts in seedy neighborhoods. Now the neighborhoods have gotten pricey, so the theaters are moving to hitherto unoccupied.
Yeah. Sorry.
Specifically.
Yeah.
Now you remember when you've been in Chicago before. We've got the big old theaters downtown. But you remember once at a conference taking a bus in downtown, and it just kept driving north and just kept going, and every time everyone looked out the window of the van, there was another theater there.
Oh well, yeah.
Okay, and finally we wound up way up on the northern city limits to see Robert Fall's The Great Gatsby with Harry Lennox playing Gatsby.
Oh, okay. I'm making believe like I remember, but I'm blanking. I admit.
Well, I remember, and you did see it.
Okay.
Okay. Well, as that bus was going north,
mm-hmm.
there was a little stretch between Irving Park Road, which is right around my neighborhood, and Rogers Park, which is where Lifeline Theater is, where we saw the wonderful adaptation of Vanity Fair. And I know you remember.
I remember that one. Yes, I do. She knows I remember that one because the girl in there was very cute, and I remarked about that.
Of course you did. You poor dongle.
You went la-la over the girls for a while.
Just for the 2 hours that I was watching the show.
Oh, okay, perfectly all right. She's in Hollywood now, but I digress.
Okay.
In any case, there was a big long stretch there where nobody looked out the windows because we were passing by what looked like nothing but ugly industrial buildings and hospital facilities.
Uh-huh.
That was uptown in Edgewater.
Okay.
Then we crossed Devon Avenue, and there was Loyola University, and everyone said, "Oh, we're back in civilization." Okay, that barren stretch there
mm-hmm.
is currently the up-and-coming new arts district.
Oh, far out.
Because it includes at Broadway and Lawrence, all of the old jazz clubs, including the famous Green Mill, and there was Al Capone's club,
mm-hmm.
and it also has lots of big old mid-1920s movie theaters.
Yeah.
That have been turned into concert halls or have gone to seed, but the city now wants to rehab them to make them into concert halls again.
Well, sure. I mean, why wouldn't they? When you've got a housing boom, stuff that was worth nothing. It's funny. Joyce and I were watching about a week or so ago a documentary on Netflix about Donald Trump, and it showed that when he first started building his empire, he basically took over the Plaza Hotel, and they let him do it because New York was so desperate at that time to have building and to have some revitalization that they just let him have the building essentially tax-free for years. And, basically it did start the rebuilding phase where now the neighborhood that was in is the most plush, deluxe possible, $8 million per square foot. But at the time, you needed to start it from somewhere. So that sounds like what's been happening in Chicago.
What has been happening as far as the theaters go? For example, Timeline Theater, which is a little theater company that nevertheless has been nominated for a regional Tony.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got big reputation, and they have been operating out of this church basement.
Mm-hmm.
On a dark little residential street where there's no place to park, and the sidewalk isn't level, and the inside of the church has a bazillion little tiny staircases, so forth. But they have just announced they bought a whole building up in Uptown. By the way, the site of the new theater district.
Mm-hmm.
Is the official neighborhood called Uptown and Edgewater, and for a long time, if somebody from out of town told a girl she was a real uptown girl, he might have been thinking New York, but she'd probably throw a drink at his face.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, so much for Billy Joel tonight. In terms of an uptown girl.
Okay, well, uptown means something different in New York than it does in Chicago.
Fair enough. So let me ask you, Mary, what are one or two or three of the best shows that you saw in Chicago this past season?
Well, you're going to have to keep in mind that I like shows that piss people off.
Okay, mine taken. So fine. What's a show that you love that the other critics and I don't know even who the other critics are now in Chicago?
Legally Blonde. Cats.
There's also been a lot of changes of command in theater journalism.
Yeah, well, the Hetty thing, that was last year. We talked about, right? Hetty Weiss wrote some stuff that was deemed politically incorrect. She was the critic for what? The Chicago Tribune?
For the Sun-Times.
Sorry, the Sun-Times. And rather foolishly and overly cautiously, they basically canned her from the Sun-Times for just being a little bit too 1950s, I guess, in her perspective.
Okay, no, just basically being a little too forthright.
Okay, even that, sure.
But she's still doing reviews on WTTW TV.
Oh, good. Okay.
She's still pulling in a paycheck. The big news with theater journalism, and I don't want to dwell on this too much because this is pretty much business stuff, is that Tracy Bain, the editor-in-chief at Windy City Times, is now also the editor-in-chief at The Reader.
Whoa! How do they? Now let's explain. The Windy City Times is a weekly newspaper for which Mary, our guest, didn't really even introduce you. It's Mary Shen Barnidge, longtime writer for Windy City Times. You also have written for the Chicago Reader.
For 30 years.
30 years. And Windy City Times is a gay, lesbian, or GLBTQ publication. The Reader.
It's the longest existing gay paper in Chicago.
Wow.
Several others have tried and eventually fallen by the wayside, but Windy City Times endures.
Well, and it's amazing that anything endures. I mean, the Village Voice went belly up in New York this year. Where we live in Greeley, Colorado, we just got the news that our local newspaper is going to publish only 4 hard copies a week instead of 7 days a week. No, they'll still do everything on the web, but they're going to save money and save papers, so they're going to publish just 4 days. It's amazing that Windy City Times and The Reader, which is your alternative weekly, endures as well.
Okay, well, the Reader harkens back to the day of alternative papers. okay, the reader was Chicago's equivalent to the Village Voice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, but the reader about the time that that the advertisers began using the internet instead, the reader began to run out of money, and some folks down in Georgia bought it and skinnied it down a bit, and eventually they ran out of money, and for a while the reader was sort of an auxiliary arm of the Sun Times.
Mm-hmm.
Was also going broke, and now I'm trying. Okay, I think think everyone ought to think about exactly what constitutes an alternative paper now.
Wow. Okay.
However, I don't want to talk about that. I'm determined to be cheerful, and if you don't mention Trump's name again while I'm on the phone, this will be a far more pleasant conversation.
Okay, fair enough. Joyce says we can call him the Cheeto if he's referred to at all. But let me ask, you were going to say what a couple of the best shows you saw in Chicago, even if they pissed other people off. What were they?
Let me start with two that piss people off, and then I'll tell you about a couple of happy ones.
Sure.
Well, one that pissed people off is Bruce Norris's latest play called Downstate.
Oh, now Bruce Norris, he wrote what was a very popular, not August Osage, what's the other one? It was Clybourne Park, right? Clybourne Park. So that was a very big play all over the country. It was on Broadway. I think it may have won the Tony on Broadway. So he has a new one out. So people's eyes are on him. Why did that play Downstate make people mad?
Well, the reason it is going to piss people off is because it the key one of the dramatic questions it asks is that what do you do with pedophiles after you put them in jail and they finish off their term, how can you let them re-enter society? Okay.
Well, I mean, it's a controversial topic. I don't see how it's going to make people mad if it's a good play. It's a reasonable question.
Okay, well, the reason it's going to make people mad is the four pervs in the halfway house are actually pretty sympathetic, and the guy who comes wanting a confession from the man who molested him 20, 30 years earlier and destroyed his life. The guy who comes to comes wanting not revenge, but coming to want somebody to abhor themselves and repent could be malingering. That was the euphemism we used in the army.
Oh.
The point is that the pervs come off as somewhat sympathetic, and in much the same way. If you remember an old play by Paula Vogel called How I Learned to Drive.
Oh, sure, yeah, but that wasn't controversial. Yeah.
And her uncle develop a special relationship because the rest of the family are such god-awful pigs.
Yeah.
No wonder that all they have is each other.
Yeah, but even Arrested Development did a bit about the community of sex offenders that all have to live together, and they wind up living on the Bluth Ranch. So, but you like the show? You like the play?
Okay. I like the play because
Mhm.
Because audiences tend to go for easy answers.
Yeah.
These are the white hats. These are the black hats. These are the good guys. These are the bad guys.
True.
It's like
So okay, and the bad guys are these shadowy ogres out there that as soon as you even say a word, people force themselves and spit over their shoulders. Okay, as a matter of fact, there's a theater company here in town that only recently someone can utter its name without people crossing themselves and spitting over their. I
Digress. So what about your next choice?
So the point with downstate is that it challenges the audience's prejudices.
Yeah. No, I mean that you made that pretty clear. But what's another play that you really liked this past season?
Okay, this past season, Denied Gorilla's Familiar.
Denied Gorilla?
Denied Gorilla.
Korea.
Well, no, like gorilla. Korea or Guerrilla?
Gurira.
Guerrilla. Okay. Oh, Denied Gorilla. That's a playwright. I'm sorry. I thought it was the name of a theater company. Denied Gorilla.
Okay, no, and the play is called Familiar.
Okay.
I like it, because when was the last time you heard the words Africa and comedy in the same sentence?
Well, just now, but no, not until you. No, I haven't actually. So it's an African comedy. Okay.
Okay, I have been waiting years to see African characters depicted as people other than victims.
That's fair.
Okay, because I think it. All of us audiences look at it and say, "Oh, those poor people, boo-hoo! I'm going to have a good cry, and then I'm going to go to my nice, comfortable home and forget all about it."
No, I get you. I mean, that's it's kind of nice to have them in a more farcical, more like lighthearted situation, as opposed to sitting there either getting clitoridectomies from army people or starving to death, or and so forth, which is what we tend to expect.
In this case, they live in a nice, comfortable house in Minnesota.
Oh, okay. Minnesota, Africa, or?
Okay, well, they're Zimbabwean immigrants.
Oh, cool.
And their daughter's going to marry a white Minnesota boy.
Oh, that sounds pretty fun. And one more show. What's another show that you really liked? A show that I think is significant. Ooh.
It is a play called Southern Gothic, and it opened in February and has not stopped running since. As a matter of fact, it is so successful that the theater had to go out and buy another theater to put it in, so that they can do their second play of the season.
What's so great about Southern Gothic?
What's great about Southern Gothic is now. Have you ever seen Alan Ayckbourn's House and Garden?
Well, I've seen a couple of Alan Ayckbourn plays. I saw. Is it kind of like Norman Conquests?
Okay, no, wait. Okay, let me explain.
Yeah.
In Alan Ayckbourn's House and Garden, you have two plays going on simultaneously.
I think I did see that. They're happening on different levels of the or one is in the house and one is in the garden. I wasn't kidding when I mentioned Ayckbourn's The Norman Conquest, because there you have three different plays all taking place at the same time. They're just in different spaces in the house and garden. So it's kind of on some level they're similar.
Okay, the point is with House and Garden, you have simultaneous action, and the audience is not seeing them simultaneously.
Mm.
You have to be, you're in one theater seeing what's happening in the house, and then later you have to see the same play in another theater and see what's happening out in the garden.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So now that you know that concept, okay, are you familiar with the concept of promenade staging or mosh pit staging?
Not really. No.
Okay. Promenade staging is when the audience moves around from scene to scene. Staging is where the audience is in the scene. Is in the scene, and the movement isn't linear.
Okay.
Okay. Now the final concept. Are you familiar with interactive theater like Tony and Tina's Wedding?
Sure. I hate it, but I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
Okay. Where the characters and the audience interact.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Southern Gothic. Southern Gothic. The scenic design recreates a 5-room house with an exterior front porch. And a patio in back.
Cool. Okay.
And we in the audience are sitting inside those rooms. Different rooms.
Yeah.
Okay, but because the play is there is a party going on in there.
Well, no, I mean it sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, and it's the kind of thing that Ekborn has done before in different ways. So, but he pulls it off again, I guess. Because House and Garden is not a new piece. It was done, I think, on Broadway years ago.
Okay, now, this is not by Alan Ekborn. It's by Leslie Leotoad.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're thinking of Southern Gothic now. Right. Yeah.
Okay, but now the point with Southern Gothic is that we don't interact with the characters. Okay, essentially we are flies on the wall.
Sure. Okay.
Except that there are 5 rooms, a porch, and a patio worth of walls, and we don't have to all fly on the same wall. What this means is that if you want to find out what all the noise is in the kitchen, you get up and go into the kitchen.
Well, that sounds like there's a show, I haven't seen it, but there's a show off Broadway called Then She Fell, which seems to follow that same pattern, where you kind of choose what part of this big building you're going to go see and what scene happens to be going on at a particular time there. So that may be a kind of a new thing that's happening in theater, and New York's doing it, and Chicago's doing it, and I'm sure at some point it'll come to LA and other places across the country.
Okay, well, essentially, what the audience is experiencing is, much the same like you're at a real party.
Yeah. No, I get it. That sounds pretty darn cool. By the way, we are partying here with our New Year's Eve show on Dave's Gone By. It's only 3 minutes until, midnight Chicago time, because we're talking to our friend Mary Shen Barnidge, the theater critic from Chicago. So I want to break you there in terms of talking about the theater to just, first of all, have you here for our countdown when it turns midnight in Chicago. But first of all, remind people where we can read your work, because you still write for the Windy City Times.
And I still review for Windy City Times. I write feature stories for a website called theaterinchicago.com.
Theaterinchicago.com. And also, some of your pieces are in TotalTheater.com, I'm very proud to say, which is a website that I'm involved in. It has thousands of theater reviews from Broadway, off-Broadway, regional theater, including Mary's reviews and features from Chicago. So that's kind of a cool place to see them as well. Do you write for anywhere else?
Okay, well, okay, so far, no, but I should tell your audience that I'm a mercenary critic. That's a freelance. I'm a mercenary critic, so you pay me, I write for you.
I'll pay her, she'll write for you. You know, and
I work cheap. I don't work for free, but I will work cheap.
That's fair. I mean, hell, I work in radio and freelance writing. I know what that is, Mary. Believe me, I know all too well. I lost one of my venues this year too. I used to write for a place called Long Island Pulse, which was this this monthly magazine that got more and more fancy and more beautiful looking, and the writing got better and better. And then just at their apex, the publisher decided, she didn't want to do it anymore. She wanted to go help children in like Nicaragua or Chile or someplace like that, and she just killed it. And so, you know, I'm looking for places to write to, Mayor. So I know exactly the boat that you are in. Believe me. Has it gotten with all the places on the web? Has it gotten easier or harder to do what you do?
Okay, I really can't answer that because I've been doing this long enough, and I write for places that promise me steady work.
Oh, well, yeah.
It doesn't pay a lot.
But at least you can count on having a certain check, you know, month after month after month, which is kind of a nice thing. Well, you know, it is 11:59 in the evening, Chicago time. So we're getting ready for Chicago New Year, and also the whole Midwest, really, not just Chicago, but especially with our friend Mary Shen Barnidge on the phone with us. Mary, are you ready for the big countdown?
Okay, I'm ready for a countdown. I've got 3 clocks here, and they all say something different.
Well, we'll start this one.
Get ready for the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Happy New Year!
Get ready for the countdown.
Stop it. Again. Stop it. Stop the countdown. There we go. Happy New Year! Happy Chicago New Year! Wait, can I get the kazoo out? Happy, everybody. Oh my goodness, it is 2019 almost everywhere. Yeah? What? Sorry?
Fireworks went off on number 3 in your countdown.
Oh, okay. Well, it was somewhere. We were close. We were kind of close. So can you see fireworks from your window?
I can hear fireworks, but they waited until the L went by. You remember I live right next to an L station.
Sure. Well, which has been, but you don't drive, so it's really convenient when you have to get places. Or you've become more Uber dependent, like we get, or we go to another state now.
Okay. I never touch Uber. Uber, you have to have a cell phone, and I'm probably the only person on the whole continent who doesn't have a cell phone.
Why, in this day and age, do you not, forget even a smartphone, but why not even a cell phone?
Because I live next door to an L station, and when the L goes by, the picture on the television sort of flutters.
Wow.
There are too many radio dense areas where cell phones that are not analogous to telephones, they're analogous to two-way radios. They simply don't work. However, fortunately, Chicago has wonderful taxi cabs.
Oh, that's right. And are there still like pay phones around if you ever need something like that?
Okay, I haven't seen any, but I've discovered that wherever I'm going, people there are usually very nice about using their phones.
Oh, that's cool.
For me, and of course, since I'm here by the lakefront, you just stand outside and flag one down.
So, Mary, before we let you go, I want to ask you one last question just about like the one thing that you are most excited about in coming up in 2019. It can be a theater thing, but it doesn't have to be. But what are you really looking forward to in the year ahead?
It is a theater thing.
Okay.
I am looking forward to seeing all these theaters. It started out as little storefronts in shabby neighborhoods like mine.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing them moving up to bigger spaces, nicer spaces, comfortable chairs,
Uh-huh.
attached cafes and bars.
That's the way it's supposed to, or the luckier ones, the better ones, that's what happens. They stay in business for about 10, 15, 20 years. Look at even in New York, places like the Roundabout and Manhattan Theater Club and the Vineyard, you know, they build, they have flops, they have hits, and then, but if they stay steady and they get the funding, good things eventually happen. So I hope lots of good things happen for you, Mary Shen Barnidge, in 2019. Lots of good luck, lots of good health, lots of good theater, and certainly good writing. She is a terrific writer, folks. If you ever get to read her in TotalTheater.com, in Windy City Times, in, what was it, theaterinchicago.com? Theaterinchicago.com as well. So, Mary, I want to thank you once again for calling in for our New Year's show and sharing your incredible knowledge of Chicago, of the Chicago theater scene. It's always so great to talk to you. Thanks so much.
All right, and thank you for giving me the time. Okay, and tell your audience to come see plays in Chicago. Okay, or come to Chicago, see plays. Come hear music. They look at the art. You will find it all in Chicago.
I will not disagree with that. I've been to Chicago about 3 times in my life. Hope I can get back there in the next year or two. It's got more theater, I think, literally, more theater than New York or Los Angeles. Plus, as she said, the music, it's also a foodie town. It's just a great, great place. And you make it even greater. Thank you, Mary.
Okay, then. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Bye-bye. Mary Shen Barnidge here in the neighborhood on the Dave's Gone By New Year's Eve special.